Hello Internet, JackaldudeGames here. I've been gone for a little bit, but I'm back. My girlfriend and I decided to go on the journey and buy our own home, which we've done, and now I have my own room to play virtual reality and make VR content. Today I want to start a mini-series about sword fighting VR games. Swordplay in VR is my absolute favorite. I love me a good shooter, but nothing feels quite the same as swinging a sword in virtual reality. So today I'm starting this mini-series. I'm gonna call it VR Swordplay Breakdown Series. Yeah. And we're gonna start with one of my favorite VR titles, Vader Immortal. As you can tell, I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan, so I felt this was the best one to start with. I will say here at the beginning that this is mostly gonna focus on the lightsaber dojo part of this game, because I believe that's where this game truly shines. I really enjoy the story. It is a bit short and combat isn't plentiful in it, and we really want to talk about sword fighting. We're gonna break these games up into 3 different categories: immersion, physics, and overall difficulty curve. In immersion, we're gonna talk about graphics, a little bit of motive and story, and overall how it just feels to be in the world that they've made for you, because in any VR title, that is what's the most important. Physics, we're gonna talk about how weapons interact with each other and how your weapons interact with your enemies. In difficulty curve, we're gonna talk about how easy or hard a game is, what the progression is from easy to hard, and attack patterns. First off, immersion. Vader Immortal's graphics look fantastic, even on the Oculus Quest, which speaks a lot for the kind of content you can get on the Quest. The graphics on the lightsabers, on the enemies, really make you feel like you're in these spaces defending yourself. This game does a very good job with attack cues, using visual and audio attack cues to know when an enemy is attacking you, which we'll talk more about later. Doing this really makes you feel like you're using all of your senses to defend yourself and really puts you into the immersion of this game. The only negatives that I'll talk about that the lightsaber dojo itself is a standing only experience. Leaving the platform will disqualify you and end the simulation. Also, this is a small thing, but the floating hands. They did a really good job with the texture on these hands, but when you have severed floating hands, it does give you that disconnection of immersion. There's something to be said when a game goes that extra mile and really does your whole body, your feet, so when you look down at yourself, you really see yourself in virtual reality. But overall, the positives heavily outweigh the negatives, and I want to give this like an 8 out of 10. I really want to give it a 9. Fuck it, let's give it a 9. 9 out of 10, I'm an adult. Number 2, physics. Now everyone knows before you talk about physics, you need to go down and physically hit the like and subscribe button. That's just science. That was stupid. That was dumb. But for real, physics. The way you can parry attacks and also lightsaber deflection. Blaster deflection is the most iconic thing when it comes to being a Jedi, and I feel like this game does it extremely well. There is a bit of a learning curve to it, but once you deflect a blaster shot back at the enemy or to a completely different enemy, that feeling is awesome. Some of these attacks that you parry from the lightsaber droids actually require you to parry with some force or you'll just be locked there, which I think is a really cool mechanic more games should use. They also implement the big swing equals big damage to avoid people just wire whisking their sword at stuff until it falls over. Even though most VR sword fighting games do that now, ever since Skyrim came out. Where this game doesn't really shine in terms of physics is there's no weak spots or really detection on where you're hitting your enemies. You can hit these droids in the head and the face, and then usually their arms fall off, and they'll flinch the same direction and sparks will fly. It's kind of a small thing, but when you compare this to other games whose physics are really well and chopping off limbs, heads, or injuring them in different ways is a thing, and it's not in this game. Fuck, what am I saying? I just want to cut off limbs. And you can't. Overall, weapon detection is there, but enemy detection, I just want to mutilate these droids in different ways and I can't. Overall, I'm going to give this 5, 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Last but certainly not least, difficulty curve. I mean, there are 40 different levels, each of them progressively getting harder or introducing you to a new type of enemy. I think that system worked very well for them. Attack patterns are a thing with this game, but they are present but plentiful. There's a lot of different attack patterns and each different droid has their own different attack patterns. If that makes sense. I said attack patterns a lot. They do give physical cues onto where and when they are going to attack. I feel like that's how real swordplay should be. What the fuck? I just lost some of my lighting. If you play this game as much as I have, you will learn everyone's attack patterns, but there's enough of them that it'll still throw you for a loop here and there. Overall, I think they did the difficulty curve fairly well, even with using attack patterns and staying stationary and only attacking you once at a time. Overall, I'm gonna give this, in difficulty curve, a 7 out of 10. We gave Immersion a 9, we gave Physics a 6, and we gave difficulty curve a 7, averaging out to Vader Immortal having a 7.5 in terms of sword fighting. Guys, if you think any of these numbers should be different, or if you want to let me know which game you want me to review next in terms of sword fighting, please let me know in the comments below. Guys, it's great to be back. It's an exciting time for VR, and I will see you next time. Thanks a lot.